Good evening, everybody.
Hey, Vikram.
Hi.
Right, Justin, we good?
Hold on 1 second. Yes, I believe we are now on, so we can start.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so I'll call this meeting to order at 4:03 p.m. on November 1st. I'll read the land acknowledgement. The city of Thorold is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Hattene-Wendaronk, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The city of Thorold stands with all the Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands on which we will live. Okay, do we have any declarations of interest today? Nope. Okay. The adoption of the agenda. Can I get a mover and a seconder to adopt the agenda, please? Mr. D'Angelo. Okay, and a seconder, please. Okay, Donna. Okay. All those in favor? Okay. All right. Can I get a mover and a seconder to adopt the minutes? Mr. D'Angelo and Councilor DeRose. All right. Matt. Okay. Perfect. All those in favor? Okay, great. Okay, so I think we have, looks like Don's here. Perfect. We'll have a presentation on Pine Street and Sullivan Avenue traffic. I will now call on Don Ferguson, who will be presenting regarding traffic concerns at Pine Street and Sullivan Avenue. Mr. Ferguson, take it away. I think you're muted, Don, if you're trying to talk. Just let us know.
How's that?
Perfect. Yep.
Okay. Ready to go?
Good to go.
My name is Don Ferguson, and I live on Sullivan Avenue in Thorold. Today, during the presentation today, I would like to speak about the four-way stop crosswalk at the corner of Sullivan Pine. Most of my briefing today is based on the Thorold Transportation Master Plan. I don't know if you can see that on your screen. No. Anyway, I'm sure you're all aware of the Thorold Transportation Master Plan. The pedestrian usage at this crosswalk is we have a lot of dependence on mobility aids, wheelchair scooters, plus children in school, 260 children in school. And we have an urgent need today for signal lights at this corner. The little background, get us up to speed. In 2016, an incident happened in this quarter, and that resulted in an immediately improvement to the school traffic, crosswalk and signs and everything back up on Pine Street. Sullivan Avenue was mentioned in the strategic plan, and I mentioned this because there's a project underway to advance the remainder of downtown roads, reconstruction projects, Sullivan, Claremont, Front Street, Elber Street, and this all kind of ties in together. And I'm suggesting that adding the intersection pedestrian signals to this project would be very cost effective and get the construction underway. The transportation plan, which is a well-written document, outlines the need for traffic signals at Pine Street in Richmond, at Claremont and Osborne, and at Pine Street in Sullivan. To date, 2 have been done. The third one, which is Pine and Sullivan, and we have a school area, is still not done. I submit that the signals at this corner of Sullivan have been well studied. The Thorold Transportation Plan is probably the best traffic study done in the city of Thorold. and it covers the whole city of Thorold, so traffic plans no longer are needed. And this was done in 2020. Just a little personal background. We live at on Sullivan Avenue. We're frequent foot users of this crosswalk. We use downtown, we go downtown, we use the senior center, restaurants, Beaver Dam Park, and we use this crosswalk very frequently. My wife has macular degeneration, and so her sight will not improve, and she can't traverse this crosswalk on her own. She must be escorted. The transportation plan just needs to be implemented. We're both seniors, as is many people on the south or the west side of Sullivan. We have a lot of seniors in the area. We have a lot of seniors dependent on mobility aids. There used to be traffic lights here, and I illustrated in my submission there about the Facebook back in 2020, referring to the previous traffic signal lights. We also know, and the transportation plan covers pretty well everything in my submission. You'll find that the cars increase, the traffic accidents increase. We have an urgent required driver behavior is a big issue here at this crossing. And with a blind or a senior signs doing the good research doesn't support that. I also mentioned in my submission about the sidewalks between Topaz and Pine. That also ties back into that project that has to be done or going to be done to do the Claremont sewers and the water lines. The Vision Zero road safety I referred to is mentioned in the transportation plan, and they used all the good wordage from it. Niagara Region has a zero vision plan. I mentioned about using some, they're like a little pylon in the middle of the road. That would be a stop measure and may improve traffic behavior, driver behavior. While four-way stops are common in Canada, they're not very common outside Canada because in Europe, it's the right-of-way rules apply. But the bottom line is driver behavior is what drives four-way stops. The pedestrian workup plan, the Thorold Transportation Master Plan, did an excellent review of traffic studies and the need for stoplights at this corner. So no further studies required. Development, the transportation applies to talks about development, transportation. Recently, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
My screen's going crazy. Okay, the transportation, I mentioned in there that a recent approval for zoning at 10 Sullivan, that ties in because there's going to have to be road work done to Topaz, Pine Street and everything. That all ties into that project and why stoplights should be put there now in conjunction with this project. A couple other points. You're going to, and again, that ties into the project where they're going to upgrade the sewers and that, because once you replace 0.6 acres of greenscape with 0.6 acres of hardscape, water's going to run someplace. Lowest point is Topaz. Path. Okay. So the transportation study outlines it very, very well and is highly recommended. The second one, adopt the Vision Zero, that's also covered in the transportation plan. And I'm not sure they felt they could have used the words Vision Zero in the transportation plan because they used all the wordage that goes with it. Fast track the project now and hook it on to the reconstruction of the water main, sewers and replacement, because eventually it's mentioned up there with the other two things as needing to be done and justified. it could save money to get it done now. And the other is to attempt some traffic calming or traffic behavior fix with these traffic fix devices. But basically, it's the thorough transportation management plan, excellent document. The only thing I don't think it's being used enough. And that's any questions, or I don't know how I'm doing for time.
No, you're doing great, Don.
Okay, so basically that's my soapbox is the Rural Transportation Master Plan. It's all there. Why don't we follow it?
All right, thanks, Don, for the presentation. I really appreciate that. Able to follow along there while you were going through the points. I guess we can just go right to Mr. Dunsmore, since he wrote the plan. Any thoughts and comments on Mr. Ferguson's presentation?
As he suggested, that the transportation master plan does identify this intersection and improvements being required. Further, the zoning approval that happened not too long ago also reflected that need for improvements, the traffic safety improvements on that intersection, which we're taking some money from the developer to help us with those improvements. And the intent is to start a design project next year for all of Pine Street, right from Highway 58 to Thorold Town Line Road, or Town Line Road at the north end, which may include narrowing the road and include these traffic signals. So the plan, that was the plan moving forward, but if we want to expedite that, doesn't stop us from expediting that in any way.
Okay, so if we wanted to, we could ask to get it expedited and get it moving forward. Now, you did mention narrowing the street. Is that plan, like for Pine Street right in front of the school, is that part of that plan?
Well, we're just in the very early infancy. As a matter of fact, we have to have it approved by council for budget for next year, but we'll spend some time next year redesigning the entire corridor, and that may involve things like narrowing and dealing with parking in a slightly different way.
Okay. Anyone have any questions or comments? Donna, go ahead.
I wonder if I could ask what purpose the narrowing of the road serves? Is it a traffic calming measure?
It most certainly is. The narrowing tends to slow traffic down, but Pine Street itself in this location also acts as a connector to the downtown to make sure that goods and services can come in. So some of our traditional traffic calming measures don't work in this situation. So narrowing may help with some of that calming issues, if you will.
I've seen other places where the extra, so to speak, space on the sides of the road are turned into bike paths, and then there's the little narrow pylons, little posts put in so the cars can't go over to the bike path. So it effectively narrows the street, but uses that space as bike path, which is that an option?
Certainly. Yep. That is certainly something we've done. I would suggest, my personal opinion on it is having the bike lane on the street causes some safety issues in my mind. Having it on the other side of the curb, similar to the multi-use trail that we have on St. David's Road and or DeQ, creates a bit more of a safety issue or safety. But all these things are open for discussion when we go through the design process for the entire road.
And will that be discussed in this forum as well?
Certainly, it'll come to this forum as part of, probably we will get it a little bit further along, the design, so probably up 95%. But there'll be public information centers where there'll be an opportunity for everybody at this committee, as well as everybody, all the general public, to have a comments, and we will receive just like we do for most of our design work.
Would it be possible for, well, I speak for myself, but I would like to be informed when those public meetings are held? Because I don't see them in the paper. I don't read the paper thoroughly every day. So is it possible for us to get like a CC or something when those meetings are planned?
Certainly, everybody on this committee will certainly be CC'd on it.
Okay.
We will also, other committees will also be CC'd on it. But we also put it on our website, and there's opportunities to subscribe to our website, which will then make those connections automatically, or not automatically, but come through our website as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Donna. Yeah, Councillor Droz, go ahead.
Yeah, through you, Chair. One of my concerns about narrowing in front of Prince of Wales is I know item 8.5 we're going to talk about today. They've been having a big issue with parking at Prince of Wales, so I'm sure Sean will take that into consideration when they finally decide on going forward. The other thing I just wanted to ask Don, are you basically looking for a stoplight at that intersection, Pine and Sullivan?
Yes, but through the chair, but what I'm looking for is just it's already in the transportation plan. All I'm asking for is to implement the transportation plan.
Yeah.
Second question is, why can't it be added to the Claremont and Sullivan Ave road reconstruction? I'm not sure why we want to tie it into Pine Street. It's not other than the traffic coming too fast down Pine, but I'm not sure it's driver behavior, not speed. We know speed is going to be a major problem. It's a major problem for seniors. For example, I get hit with a car. I'm 80 years old in that crosswalk. My days are done. And I mean, studies prove that. So that's what I'm saying. Something needs to be done today, not after a study on Pine Street, which to my estimation hasn't got anything to do with putting lights at this corner.
Yeah, thanks, Don. I just wanted to refer a question to Sean, because I know we used to have stoplights there. Putting them back is about $500,000, if Sean could correct me, about 500,000. Sean, is there a reason why we took those out? Because they were there since I was born.
That happened a long time before I started the city. I really don't know.
Was it a regional road at that time, that end, or no?
I don't think so. But I really think that the intersection, believe it or not, doesn't warrant traffic lights, or didn't at the time. Probably does now because of the growth in the city and whatnot. So, like Don's point is very clear that he wants to push it forward ahead of some of the other stuff, which, to be honest with you, I think we're going to get there at some point in time. But pushing it forward, I don't think is something that is terribly bad move. Like that's an intersection that has been complained about for a long time.
Thank you, Sean.
Can I interject?
Go ahead, Don.
The other two, the transportation master plan identified 3 intersections. 2 of them have already been done. So I think if in this study, I read through this study, it's a very thorough study. So to say that we don't warrant traffic lights based on this study would be saying this study is was not done correctly. And why would the other 2? And why do the other 2 have traffic lights and we don't? I mean, it's I get to budgeting and everything else. I'm not naive in that end of the world, but I'm just saying that you got a transportation plan. It's identified the problem, and we should be able to implement that problem. And there is sources there at that Claremont. When you do Claremont Street, to me, it's not going to be a no-brainer. And I don't think the $500,000 figure, I don't believe that. I don't buy that for 1 minute, that it's going to cost that. Sorry.
Mr. Dunsmore, you want to respond?
I just want to chime in with the concept that I didn't say that it doesn't warrant it now. I was suggesting that it didn't warrant it back however many years ago that they were removed.
Okay, thanks, Sean. Mr. D'Angelo, I know you had your hand up a couple times. Do you have something to say?
Yeah, thanks. I have a couple comments, a couple questions. Through to Mr. Dunsmore, I know you mentioned that it's not scheduled to do the lights there. Is it in the capital forecast at all to put the lights in?
Through you, Mr. Chair, it would go in as part of one of the projects, no different than what Don is saying about adding it to the Claremont Sullivan. What we usually do when we deal with intersections is when we do the reconstruction on the more major road, in this case Pine Street, we would do the intersection as part of that, and that's why it's been put into the Pine Street program.
Okay, so it's in the budget, in the capital forecast?
Yep.
Do you know what year it's supposed to be scheduled?
Well, it's scheduled for it. You'll see it in the budget for 2024.
Okay, so we're not really expediting, we're just moving forward with it.
Well, if you wanted to do it as a separate item, we could take it to council and start implementing the traffic lights so that they would be done by kind of mid 2024, as opposed to doing the design of Pine Street along with it, which will push it back probably a full year.
Okay, so that discussion will come at budget time then, in terms of allocating resources. So we're just moving it to budget right now, which will have a discussion of if it's going to come quicker than the full complete master plan. Okay, just wanted clarity on that. And I know I think what they removed the lights once the train tracks were decommissioned. So I think that was part of it too, in terms of transportation. The one thing, and I hope, and I know we always do, is have public meetings regarding the complete road, because we need to look at the complete picture when we're designing all the way to the highway, to the downtown area, to the Pine Plaza. The last thing sometimes you need to do is, if you put too many traffic calming measures on a street, people don't drive on that street anymore. They find another street that doesn't have them. Hence, Ormond Street has too many traffic calming measures, more stop signs. So it's not a thorough route anymore. So you're seeing more traffic go down Pine Street to avoid Ormond Street. So if you put too much on Pine Street, then you're going to push it to Queen Street, West Street, and some other side streets where traffic flows. Dealing with bad behavior in terms of drivers is something that we're dealing with throughout the whole city. That's not an easy remedy unless you start taking licenses away from people. That's the only way that's going to get rectified. But a little bit more police presence would be helpful. And I think we need to, I'll talk more at roundtable, but I think we need to push for more police presence in some of these areas. And then also look at Pine Street as a community safety zone, similar to what's going to be developed on Collier Road, so that there's greater fines for speeding at excessively at inappropriate times, especially when the school is in. There's usually flashing lights and to reduce speed. So those are a couple comments. So I do agree that it's time to look at putting lights there, and I think the 2024 budget is where it's going to happen. And I know Councillor DeRose will be bringing that up at that point in time to make sure it's happening, because we're trying to correct a lot of problems in our city regarding traffic. That's all I had for comments right now. And the other thing is, I'm glad that this committee and other committees will be notified when there's a public meetings regarding this, because I think we all need input to come up with the best plan at the end of the day. Thanks.
Thanks, Mr. D'Angelo. Anyone else have any questions or comments?
I
Go ahead, Don.
I hate to come back to it, but the thorough transportation plan, master plan, has addressed all this traffic and issues. It's an excellent document. I'm not sure why we want to restudy Pine again when it's already been studied. And I mean, if you go through the transportation plan, it's all in there. The only thing is, I don't see why you can't hook it on to the Claremont Sullivan Avenue, which is a sewer issue there, and you're going to create a sewer issue with your change to your zoning on 8 Sullivan, because if the sewers are at capacity now and you're going to turn green space into hardscape, you're going to get water running back down through there. So that project must go forward, and I'm not sure what the timing is for that. And adding traffic lights to that is not a big leap. And I don't think the cost is that great. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yep, thanks, Don. So Sean, if you're not doing the traffic study, this goes towards what, the 2024 budget to possibly implement? Is that what I'm hearing correctly?
Pardon?
The lights on Pine Street. So you mentioned bringing up in the 2024 budget. If you guys don't have to do that traffic study for the whole Pine Street, is that when it would possibly be presented to council to get approved?
Yeah, we don't need to do a traffic study, if you will. What we do need to do is design Pine Street. What it's going to look like after we're done the construction. As for the lights, Don is absolutely correct that the traffic signals are in our transportation master plan, and this would just be setting a higher priority than the current priority it has.
Mr. Droz, go ahead.
Yeah, through you, Chair. Sean, is there any way you can find out? I can't recall the year. I don't know if Henry does. We're lifelong Thorold residents, but I don't remember when they took them out. But I would love to know why, because yeah, I don't get it. So if Sean, if you can find out maybe from employees that have been there, or just out of curiosity, and shoot us an email, because I'd like to know why we're.
Why they were taken out is because there wasn't warrants for them. There wasn't enough volume of traffic at the time to warrant the lights, and they're expensive to maintain, and they had made it to their end of their lifespan, and we decided that it was best approach to remove them. That's why. The fact of the matter is now things have changed. The volume has increased, and I believe it is warranted to put them back in.
Sean, through you, Chair. Sean, is my estimate around $500,000 correct, roughly, give or take?
Yes, depending on some of the details of it, but yeah, it's we replaced the ones over on Claremont and Ormond about 4 years ago, and it was almost $400,000, and most of the conduit was reused from the previous set, so it'll be in that neighborhood of $400,000 to $500,000.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Rose. Mr. D'Angelo, go ahead.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we receive this presentation, forward it to City Council for information, and also forward it to the 2024 budget for Thorold City Council.
Okay, can we get a mover and a seconder for the adoption of that motion? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, awesome. Okay, so thanks again, Don, for the presentation. We appreciate that.
Allow me to make a presentation. Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, so now we're moving on to correspondence. So it looks like we had a motion directing staff to prepare a report outlining options for assessing speed limits of City of Thorold streets were passed by council on September 12, 2023, which is great. So what are the next steps in once it gets passed by council there?
Well, what they passed was for us to write a report.
Right.
I will say that I've never tried to do a complete citywide speeding, a speed reduction, so I'm not sure how to proceed on that front. I think our report is going to lay out the process for doing it. So what I think I would like to do is communicate with you guys, probably via email, about some process to help make sure that everybody's on has an opportunity to comment, or so that public meeting process that we talked about for Pine Street, but also come up with a plan of attack for implementation, so that we actually get some, because one of the problems I think that we're going to struggle with is that even if we lower the speed limit on the roads, enforcement is going to be a problem. And I know Henry has already talked about modifying police presence and stuff, but I'm not sure that's. So I'm not sure how to proceed is actually the truth. And we're trying to write a report, and that report is essentially going to lay out the process for making the change.
Okay, so there was a similar type of report that was done with the city of St. Catharines, right?
Yep.
Is that something you can look into or kind of take away from to help with your process?
Well, what they did is they did a trial area. They reported on the results of that trial area. As I understand it, we don't want to do that based on our conversations last time. So what we need to do is A, spread the word, and B, make sure that we have agreement from most of our community, so that council can make an informed decision on it.
Okay. Mr. Danjay, you had a question or comment?
Well, yeah, you sort of, through you, Mr. Chair, you sort of touched on it. St. Catharines has a model, and they're piloting this. So we should talk to them and see what their results are, what they've captured for analytical results, to see if it's made a difference, how it's made a difference, and what was associated with putting it in. Doing this across the board, I find it a little tough doing it across the board. I would look at maybe piloting it also here in Thorold, because you need some results. Because if you expect to change the speed limit to 40 and expect everyone to follow that, it's not going to happen. The poor driving behavior is not going to do that. So if you expect greater enforcement, you're not going to get that either, because we're getting difficulty just getting enforcement for the speeds we have. And putting it across the board at this point in time, these are some of the things I think need to be in the report and investigated. Is you're going to confuse a lot of people, because you're going to be driving 50 in St. Catharines and then entering Thorold at 40. So you're going to have to put signs on every single road to notify people. So these are some of the issues that I have to see how they're going to be resolved through the report before, as a council, I made a decision to do that. It's easy to say just blanket the city, but there's going to be other complications and other problems that are going to pop up. So you don't want to keep band-aiding something. So a piloting might probably be more feasible, and at least you see some results from it. Changing driving behavior, that's something that it needs to be really tackled. And that's through like CAA, through the Ontario government, and through the municipal governments and regional governments in what they do. But those are some of the items I'm going to have to see in the report. And if we could get information from other jurisdictions that have done this and see what happened, that could be quite helpful. So that could be a start of the report, is looking at what other communities have done, not just St. Catharines. I don't know if there's others even in Ontario or across Canada that are also doing that. Those just are some of my comments.
Okay, thanks, Mr. D'Angelo. Yeah, I mean, some of my comments, like I'm not expecting it to be like a blanket across the whole city. Obviously, just helping identify what areas would benefit from slower speed limit is something I would like to, see going forward. Not necessarily just blanket 40 everywhere. There's pockets, maybe downtown or stuff like that, that 40 kilometer makes sense just because of the, the way where it is, and some certain subdivisions obviously would make sense as well.
Okay, so what I'm tasked with reading the report to council. So what I will do is I'll do some background study, and I'll get some questions out to you guys. Let you see and see if I can really understand what it is that we're hoping for. Because I do think there's some classifications of our roads that probably we don't really want to be 40 kilometers an hour. Maybe we do. And so I'll try to get some of that information out as quickly as I can to get some feedback so that we can and probably what will happen is I will bring the report to you guys before I take it to council. So probably our next meeting. So that no different than what I'm doing with the traffic calming reports today. Just so that you can see what I'm saying and maybe you can help tweak it if you need to.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great. Anyone else have any questions or comments? Mr. DeAngelo, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Mr. Dunsmore, if you, through the chair, if you could tap into CAA and see what information they may have. They're one of the most useful, resourceful automobile associations. So they would provide that because they believe in road safety, and they might have some suggestions, or they may even comment on the report. I think it'd be good to find some contact person at CAA to help us out with this. I think it would be good getting them involved in the early part of the stage. Thanks.
For sure, I will.
Awesome. Any other questions or comments from you guys? Okay. All right. Looking forward to working with Mr. Dunsmore on this report. It sounds really exciting. Okay. So now we're going to committee business. We have a traffic calming report for Thorold Avenue. Let me check the agenda on here.
You guys can see the report in the agenda that we had.
Yeah. Page 16. Yeah.
You'll notice that it was put in not 5 years ago. And we got pushback on the fact that this speed hump was put in. People would like to see it removed. So we got 75% of the residents in the area have decided that they want it removed. So our intent is to do exactly that, remove the speed hump from Thorold Avenue.
Okay. Did anyone have any questions or comments about removing this speed hump? No. Is there going to be any other traffic calming measures for this street in particular, or is it just removing the hump and just keeping it as it is?
Yeah, generally that's exactly what it is. We put the hump in at a request for traffic calming, and so removing the hump is going to be exactly that. It's removing the traffic calming from the street.
Okay, sounds pretty simple. Anyone have any questions or comments about this item? Okay, that was easy. Moving on to 8.2, we have a proposed all-way stop at Front Street and McNamara Street.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Yep.
The council requested a report for the installation of a stop sign at the corner of McNamara in Front. Our intent is to write a report that says exactly that we're going to install that all-way stop at that location. I don't believe there's a drawing for it in our package, but I will circulate one to you as quickly as we have it, so that you can see what it is we're thinking, and our report will be coming as probably the first meeting in December to install that stop sign.
So I think we brought this up before in another meeting, and we tried to request some more information. I think it was from the region or the
collision data and stuff like that, which I
Yes.
forwarded to you guys
Okay.
a while back. We also went out and did a quick intersection study, and none of it warranted any any type of stop signs, but at the same time, It's never stopped us before.
Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
But so again, why is this happening? How did this get pushed through so quickly?
It was a request from, I believe, Councillor Sentence, passed it through, council.
So, okay. Yeah, I mean, Councillor D'Angelo touched on it earlier, where you start to load streets with these traffic calming measures and using stop signs as traffic calming measures starts to work against you. Again, throwing stop signs up like this. Okay. Yeah, it would have been nice to see that data from the NTO. I know you said it's, there's a 3, 4, 5 month lag time on it, but yeah, I've never known that to be a problem area either, anecdotally. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, if everyone goes down that street, get the stop signs at a reasonable distance. I've never seen a problem there ever. So it'd be a bit annoying going down that street, but yeah, if that's what the council wants, and that's what council gets. That's no problem. Anyone else have any questions or comments about that? Mr. D'Angelo, go ahead.
Yeah, just for background, I did speak to one of the businesses and he says the speeds are excessive from that location, from the stop sign all the way on St. David's, all the way to the end of the street where it merges into Ormond Street or Merritt. At that point in time, it's hard to believe, but people drive excessively fast there. And with those businesses, especially the mechanic, and there's performance heating, and then there's an insulation, they're backing onto the roads quite regularly. So I think that was one of the rationale of trying to slow traffic down. Actually, one of the businesses actually gave me a video of a car that didn't stop as someone was backing out, and he almost really schmucked both vehicles. So that wasn't brought up at council, but I know, talking to some of the businesses, that's been a concern there. So again, putting a stop sign in might alleviate it. It may not, because again, bad driving habits don't disappear with stop signs. As Matthew mentioned, they just get transported to a different location. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for Mr. D'Angelo. That's some really good background information. That makes me feel better that, there's obviously some incidents there and we want to keep the people safe. So that makes sense. Any other questions or comments on this item? Okay. All right, so we have 8.3, intersection of Richmond Street and Winterberry Boulevard.
Through you, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
We received a complaint about the intersection of Richmond Street and Winterberry. And if most of you probably know, just at the bottom of the overpass there. And it's been bad traffic behavior, bad driver behavior. That has caused some problems in terms of some near misses, specifically related to the pedestrians and the vehicles not stopping at stoplights or the stop sign. The request is no different than the one that Don just made to us, and that is they would like traffic signals at that intersection. We just recently, and included in the package, is the intersection study for that intersection, because we were doing it as part of a subdivision approval process for the Confederation Phase 10. So I guess what we're looking for from you guys is some direction to decide whether we want to look at traffic signals in that location, or if we're generally happy with the way that is performing.
Okay. Couple questions on the traffic side. Did anything jump out at you that seemed abnormal, that might warrant traffic lights or some kind of speed hump down around those area?
No, through you, Mr. Chair. No, the conclusion is the stop signs, and the flow is adequate for what we're doing. Unfortunately, the only issue that we seem to be having is some poor driver behavior.
Yeah. Okay. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Mr. D'Angelo, go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Chair, if there's a lot of traffic that's not stopping for those stop signs, I don't think that area would warrant full complete stop signs. But is there any way of putting like a flashing light up to at least warn people that there is a stop in that area? I've seen it in other intersections in different places. Like let's not hit it with a big hammer, but let's try maybe something that would bring the attention to the individuals. And if it's cars that are coming over the overpass and are going through in that direction, well, maybe just the flashing light at the stop sign so they see it more so. So can we possibly look at something like that to help the situation, but yet not overkill the situation?
Through you, Mr. Chair, certainly we can. That is we have all sorts of options on the floor in terms of that. If that would be what you would like us to do, we could certainly report back to you for the next meeting and talk about a redesign, if you would like, of that intersection.
Yeah, that would work, Mr. Dunsmore. Yeah, I think if you guys are able to provide that information. Is this also tied in with the Hawthorne, the Ironwood study? Because I know I had that. Or is this one going to be different?
This one will be different.
Okay. So I'm not sure if okay. Because I had the Hawthorne and Ironwood also on here, but I guess we didn't have this on the agenda. So I guess it's two different issues.
Yep.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Yeah, sorry, Matthew, go ahead.
With regards to Don's presentation and the intersection at Pine and Sullivan, it seems like that light was removed based on a volume issue, right? The volume didn't warrant the light, plus the end of life of the lights themselves. Is that the main factor in determining whether a light is installed at an intersection, or what's the criteria there?
Through you, Mr. Chair, there is definitely TAC requirements. TAC is the Transportation something committee. They make recommendations for volumes to so from a call it purely scientific point of view, that's how we would determine whether traffic signals would be put in or not. But in the end, it's a political decision. So even if it warranted it and our council didn't want it, we wouldn't put it in. The opposite's true too. If it doesn't warrant it, which is what our report is saying at this point in time, then and council wants it, we would still put it in.
Okay, thanks.
Angela, you had a question? Yep.
I was just going to make the comment. I'm not looking for extra work here. I'm just looking at ways of highlighting that intersection so people are aware of it. Either more fluorescent paint so it can be seen at night, or a bit of a flashing light, just to bring awareness to it, because it is one of the busier intersections. Because every car that's going over the overpass has to go through that intersection. So, and there's more and more houses being built there, so it's obviously going to get worse before it gets better. So, any mechanism. So, I'm just throwing a couple suggestions through you, Mr. Chair. So, Sean, you might have some other ones that are low cost, but yet give an impact. Some additional signage sometimes. I know high traffic or high collision sometimes helps. So, anything like that. That could be helpful in mitigating that possibility of people having accidents there. Again, it won't solve all the poor driving behaviors, but at least it can bring some awareness. Thank you.
Yeah, like a bigger stop sign or some kind of reflective metal, still make it easier to see in lights type of thing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Dunsmore, if you're able to put some information together, then see what our options are, and we can discuss that next meeting and hopefully take some resolution there.
Certainly we can. Yep.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Any other questions or comments on this item? Okay. 8.4, accessibility at Rolling Meadow area along Sunset Way.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we received a request from a resident in the Rolling Meadow subdivision about accessing the park. They live on the, call it east side of Sunset Way, and trying to get to the park is problematic because and the only real access is up at Barker Parkway, where there's a four-way stop and there's a crosswalk there. They're looking for us to put in a new crosswalk. To put in a crosswalk, proper crosswalk, the easiest and probably cheapest way to do it is to add a all-way stop, or a stop, at least a stop in the direction that we're going to be crossing, or perpendicular to the direction we're going to be crossing, which in this case actually leads to an all-way stop because Sunset doesn't have a stop at this point in time. So we're going to be bringing a report to council to, with your support, of course, to add an all-way stop on Sunset at, I believe Miracle is the street name that it crosses at, just to get put that crosswalk in and make it a safe crossing.
Okay, so your current recommendation is adding the stop signs, and then when you say crosswalk, is this going to be like lines on the street? Or are we talking like signage?
The lines on the street.
Okay. I'll open up the questions and comments. Vikram, any comments on this one?
Yeah, I was just wondering about it because Sunset Way is pretty much crowded. I mean, people are parking their cars on the right side. So yeah, definitely, and there are post boxes there on that side next to the playground. So yes, we do need a crosswalk, but adding more signs on that road, at least you're planning to add 2 more stopways on that Miracle and Goodrich Avenue, right? Or just one? As per the map in the
It's just the stop sign on Sunset Way. The one on Miracles exists.
okay.
Okay, so we're just gonna add the 2 stop signs on Sunset Way to make it so that it's always stop there.
Right. And there's another concern coming up with the residents of Rolling Meadows that the always stop on the Barker Parkway and Sunset is there are no lines, so people hardly stop there, call it driver behavior or whatever, and they often ignore those always stops. So there was a demand that some lines should be put on the road itself just to indicate that there's a stop coming up. So we do have stop signs, always stop signs, but no indications on the road. So if that could be added, it'll be a added safety.
Certainly,
That was one.
we can paint them both at the same time.
Yeah, because that's a current demand right now. The other demand would be, like we discussed last time, through you, Mr. Chair, Mr. Dunmore, we did talk about something for Homestead Way. We do have a lot of, how do I say, rangers driving on Homestead Way, especially in the beginning from, if you go from Sunset Way to Homestead Way, there's a slope there. So the drivers race up the slope, even though you have a 40 km/h sign there just at the beginning, they still race up, and across Success, Homestead Way and Autumn Avenue, the slope kind of comes there. So a lot of residents are thinking of signing a petition saying that you should have an always stop at that junction, because that's where the slope actually levels up and the drivers actually speed up to that area, and a lot of kids are playing in that particular zone. So we would actually take your suggestion on that. And secondly, yeah, that's the main concern right now. So 2 main concerns in Rolling Meadows would be the lines on the road for Parker Parkway, always stop. And the second, the Homestead Way issue for speeding.
Okay,
Okay.
we did some traffic calming on Homestead Way not too long ago.
Mhm.
Is that not working? Is that the problem?
Apparently, like I told you, the patch between this patch between Sunset Way, which goes right up to Autumn Avenue on Homestead Way, is the area where the kind of landscape slopes up. So
Yep.
that's the area where we see a lot of drivers speeding up the hill, kind of a thing. And that's the point where we would want a four-way stop. A number of residents were thinking of asking for speed humps, but I believe speed humps would not matter much in that area. Rather, some kind of signage or an always stop. I've seen this kind of an always stop back when we were in Cambridge. The house was again on a slope like this, and we had a couple of stops on the slope, always stops, and they made a lot of difference. They did help us out.
Okay, if you could get them to submit that
Yes, we would do that.
petition,
Yeah.
that would be great.
Yeah, because a lot of residents there have small kids, and we have seen a couple of cars just buzzing by. So I have even asked some of the residents if they could have some, camera coverage or video coverage of the cars buzzing by, so that we can, strengthen our point and present it to the council.
Okay, thanks,
you.
Vikram.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you get that sign, we can obviously talk about it here and get a resolution for that one as well. Does anyone have any other comments about the accessibility with adding the stop signs in the crosswalk? Okay. Can we get a mover and a seconder to move forward with the stop signs? Vikram, and then seconder, Mr. DeRose. All those in favor? Okay, so we're gonna get some more stop signs. Great. Okay, so 8.5, Prince of Wales parking. This was brought up by Mr. DeRose. Mr. DeRose, if you want to say a few words.
Yeah, I received several calls from some concerned parents and grandparents about the lack of availability of safe parking spots. And I took a ride out there, and I think you did too, Mr. Chair. And the one thing I think it would alleviate is to allow them to park safely instead of what's going on now. And from what I heard, some horror stories. And the other thing is, once again, the narrowing of the road would, I think, would possibly slow down traffic. So that's, but I brought it up because, I teach over at Holy Rosary, and so I don't have any kids there. I have no, I've never really been there when it's school starting or ending. So I'm just going by the comments made to me through 4 phone calls I received from concerned parents and grandparents. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rose. So yeah, I walked over there today. I got there like 2:45 or so, and yeah, there's all the cars are filled. There's some people on other streets, like in cars, waiting for the kids to come out. I talked with the crossing guard lady, and she said, yeah, it's just there's not enough parking at all. And then they have the 15-minute parking right above that line, and people are lining up 30-40 minutes earlier, just so that they have a parking spot. So that's kind of what I witnessed and what I saw. It looks like, I could probably be wrong, like we could add 7 or 8 parking spots on the other side of the road to help alleviate some of those people being able to park or not be able to park. So I think maybe adding some of those parking lines on that side of the road might help the issue, but obviously we'll like to talk to Mr. Dunsmore and see if he has any options.
I know that intersection is, or that area at drop off and pickup time is very busy. Part of the problem is that unlike Holy Rosary or some of the other schools in the city, they have no on-site parking, or their limited on-site parking is for staff only. So they do all their student drop off and pickups right there on Pine Street, which is very challenging. I don't see any reason why we wouldn't support parking on the west side of Pine Street. And like Michael said, there's probably 7 or 8 relatively straightforward parking spots to be put there. My only concern about that whole thing is the behavior of the pedestrians once they get out of the car. I think it's a bit of a dangerous spot to be cutting across the road, like jaywalking in that location. It'd be best if they headed back up to the stop sign and or the PXO that we have in that area. But other than that, I don't see that there's any good reason why we couldn't do it. What we'll do is what we could do is draw up what those parking spots would look like for you and bring it back to the next committee meeting if you would like.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I understand. I mean, they have a crossing walk lady. She's right there. The 8 parking spots are within relative distance of that. So hopefully we don't have that. If we need to put up like a little bit of a signage just to make sure, I'm sure that wouldn't be too much of a hassle.
Yep.
Any questions or comments? Oh, Mr. Droz, go ahead.
Through Mr. Chair, thank you. Yeah, I just if and you know, I always follow Sean's lead. He's the expert in this. If he's leaning towards it, I just wonder if there's any way to expedite it and bring it to council instead of coming back, just because our meetings are in 3 months again. Yeah, so that's my only concern. They were looking for something more time sensitive, but I'll leave it up to the committee.
Okay, that's a good point. Go ahead, Mr. Dunsmore.
I'm not sure that we're going to be able to paint the road anytime between now and say June because of the weather. So this might be a September thing anyway.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. D'Angelo, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned that we just rush out and put parking spots in because I know people are concerned that there's no parking spots in, but I think we have to delve into the history of why there's no parking spots there, because I don't want to be putting parking spots in and then 3 months later we have people crossing the street, someone gets hit, they're not following the rules properly. I think some consideration has to be done for why they're not there and dig into it a little bit more. Also contact the school, see what their thoughts are, have they've seen stuff that shouldn't go on. So I think a bit of research needs to be done before we just, again, paint some lines in here. And the other thing that I'd be more receptive is if we pilot it, like maybe a September next school year, pilot it for a year and see what happens. Before they become permanent, you might want to do something temporary, just because you may solve one problem, but what other ones are we creating that we're not aware of? And again, it's same with, and I use Thorold Avenue as a good example now. That's a dead-end street in Port Robinson with very little traffic, and where they put traffic calming measures in there, and then now they've taken them out. You know, our staff, from a city's perspective, they're spending time putting stuff in, taking stuff out, and not doing a bit of research and why it's going in and what impact it has. We're just wasting their time. And other important stuff isn't getting done. There's only so many hours in a day. So before we do something, again, it goes back to not rushing into things. Put a little bit of effort in, come up with a plan. And also, especially if you're going to redo the street of Pine Street in a fashion that's going to be redeveloped, you're putting something in, taking something out. When's that happening? So I'd rather, maybe the delay in time that we can't paint the lines is good, that we could probably put a good plan in place before next September, so we can move forward with something that is more collaborative with everybody. Just my thoughts.
Oh, those are some good thoughts. I guess that makes sense, because currently there's no parking on that side of the street. Mr. Dunsmore, do you know when or how long that's been no parking on that side of the street? Or is that a bigger
It's
rabbit
been no
hole?
parking since I started, and that's getting on 20 years ago. So the funny part about that whole parking on for the Prince of Wales is we've changed it. I think we've changed it almost every year since I've been here. Those buses used to park in front of the school. Now they park on the side of the school, and then right. And we've been asking them to deal with some of this stuff on their own site, which they're unable or unwilling to do. Yeah, it's one of those funny things that we keep circling around, and I would like to suggest that we probably should talk to the residents, the houses that actually front on that, before we go off and change those parking as well, right?
Right.
I will say that the road profile as it sits right now probably could handle the parking. I think a few years ago, before we took the railroad tracks out of there, probably couldn't have, only because the railroad tracks took up so much space in the middle of the road and nobody wanted to drive on them. So I would suspect that we probably could, but I would really have to sit and draw it out to see if we could figure out if it was safe or not.
Okay. So in getting the residents information, like getting their opinions on it, how does that go? We just drop like letter in the mailbox asking for feedback? Like how did that process?
No, I think what we would do is we could draw it up, like I said, and then we could have a quick PIC.
Okay.
Take a few weeks, make sure that they whatever come to City Hall and express their opinion, or through our website, just to make sure that everybody understands where we're at.
Okay. And then getting the school's feedback, and as you mentioned, you've been changing this like a yearly basis. Would having having some of their input on how the current parking situation on site is being handled, and if adding parking spots would be of assistance to them?
The good news about it is I think I have their principal on speed dial. So I could certainly get the input from him, because I'm telling you, I talk to him regularly.
Okay. Yeah, it would be great to solicit his feedback, and then if we could do like you can do a little drop. This is what it's going to look like. We can have like a mini PIC, get everyone else's feedback. Does that sound like a reasonable way to move forward?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
But like I said, we can make this decision now, but we probably can't paint it till the weather gets nice.
Okay. Mr. D'Angelo, go ahead.
I don't know if it's possible, but can we have that public information session at the school so the local residents don't have far to go, and you also get input from, I'm not sure if the school board will allow that, but they have a gymnasium, right? And if we could do it on their site, it's just easier. That way people don't have far to go, and could get more of the local resident. Coming to City Hall is not the easiest for a lot of the residents. Just a suggestion. I don't know if it's possible, or if because of issues with people going on to school board property that they may not allow it. So not sure what their policies are, but just a suggestion.
Mr. Dunsmore?
Through you, Mr. Chair. I got a funny story about that if you want to hear it.
Go for it.
We try to do that on all our projects to make our public meetings as close as possible to the local residents. On Broderick this year, we went out and did it at Westmount School related to the Broderick Street, because it's right there. And we found out that the school board has a new policy that doesn't allow them to unlock the doors. So we can rent the school, but we can't have the doors unlocked to allow people to drop in. So I believe Mike was at that public meeting, and he saw me standing at the door the whole time, making sure we could let everybody in. So it's an awkward situation. So, but we can certainly talk to them and about renting their facility and doing the best we can to make it as close as possible. If not, we could always use Club Capri.
Yeah, because Mr. Ferguson did mention it. It's a more majority senior residents living around that area. So obviously anything closer would be definitely better. And I guess we'll just have to get a volunteer doorman.
That's right. I'll have to be prepared for it, so.
Yeah.
Mr. Dandridge, go ahead.
Yeah, my suggestion would be Holy Rosary Hall. It's a lot closer and it would capture more of the area there. It's within walking distance, and I'm sure they more or less they should be able to accommodate that pretty easily. So, yeah, just that might be helpful to check with the Holy Rosary.
Yeah, certainly we'll look for a spot that's close. The school would be ideal, and if the school is really the one instigating this, or some of the parents at the school, maybe it'll help us get that. So we definitely do that on a regular basis, and we'll certainly try.
Okay, so it seems like we'll some kind of design. We get some feedback from the principal of the school, and then we can talk about it on the next meeting, and then hopefully go with the PIC rep. Okay.
And I was just gonna say, if you do it at a 3 o'clock time, you'll get lots of people there.
Right, they're all there anyway, so.
That's right. That's right.
I will tell you before we put the PXO in, the lights, the flashing lights, I was out there and I surveyed them on the street at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So
Yeah,
we'll do
that's
that
kind of what
too.
I was doing.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was doing, just trying to get lay of the land and how everything was going. Okay.
Yep.
The crossing lady did say she appreciates the line in the middle of the road there, so it's not just 2 lanes. So just wanted to pass that along as well. Okay, so that's the Prince of Wales parking. 8.6 traffic calming of Canby Street.
Again, something that was initiated by council, because we had a resident, we were doing some traffic calming a little bit further along Canby, past the railroad tracks. We went through a long process on that. We got the request from one of those residents about this side of Canby, from the railroad tracks out to Allenport Road, including the intersection of Allenport and Canby, which we're still studying, and it's a regional road, so it becomes a bit of a different animal. But we did some PICs and stuff, and generally came up with the concept of adding stop signs at the corner of Hamilton and Canby to break up some of the length of traffic, so that people will again slow down in the area. And we're planning on putting in a crosswalk, because there's some difficulties with some of the pedestrians having to walk a half a kilometer each direction to be able to cross the street without jaywalking. So that's the intent of the work, and we're bringing it to council next meeting.
Okay, so it's just like informational.
Yeah, more or less.
Okay.
Although we'd like your support on it too, I guess.
I was reading some of the comments, and very interesting comments. Some people had like full page reports, which was pretty amazing. That kind of support either for or against. In your mind, was it kind of more 60% on the yes? This seems like a good idea, because I saw from both sides.
Yeah, more 50% on the yes side of the whole deal.
Okay. Did everyone get a chance to take a look at the picture? It should be the second or third last page on the agenda here. There's obviously no sidewalk clearly on the other side, so that obviously makes sense. And stop signs, yeah, that also kind of makes sense to me. Any questions or comments on this item? Okay. Can I get a mover or seconder to approve or give this stamp of Road Safety Committee for moving this forward? Okay. McDram, and I'll second that one. Okay. All those approved? All those in favor? All right. Good stuff. There you go, Sean. Stamp of approval.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay. So I think we're down to the last agenda item. So thanks everybody for bearing with us today. The 8.7, the 2024 committee meeting schedule. Thanks, Justin. Go ahead. So that's what it looks like. If we're having these meetings every 3 months, and man, we've almost done like an hour and a half today with all these agenda items. Do you think it would make sense to do this every 2 months, or are you guys okay with the 3 month?
And Mr.
Three-month
Chair, if I
process.
can
go for it,
interject,
Justin.
right now, the terms of reference call for quarterly, so 4 meetings a year. So this is kind of what we have now. We can change that as well. And we can always call special meetings if we find things are piling up as well.
Okay.
So that's an option as well.
Okay. Does anybody have any thoughts? Are we okay with the current meeting schedule? Do we need to make this like every 2 months instead of 3 months? Go ahead. Floor's yours. If someone's raising their hand, I can't see. Yeah, go ahead, Pat.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, guys.
Is there maybe some way that if the agenda or the business hits a certain threshold, 6, 7, 8, 9 items, that then we can have a meeting sooner rather than later, so it doesn't build up too much? Or is that just the logistics of that would be too much?
I mean, I'm pretty flexible. I can make it with enough advance warning if we need to do like a special meeting. I'm not sure about everybody else. Obviously, I can be flexible like that. Donna, you had a comment?
That was going to be my comment as well. If we have the opportunity to have special meetings to catch up, I think we should make use of them. I find that in 3 months, important issues can come and go, and we haven't even been able to discuss them. Never mind decide if it's a good idea or not. So I find 3 months apart. I know that in an entity the size of a city, things move slowly, and that's probably why quarterly meetings were initiated in the first place, and that still holds true. But I'm sure there are some issues that we have missed debating because of the speed through which they go. So if there's a way to keep an eye on that, to know when it's the right time to call one of these special meetings, it might be a good idea.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense. If we need to, maybe we should start. Oh, go ahead, Justin.
So as agenda items come in, send them to me right away. Even if they come in tomorrow, I'll start adding them to an agenda for February. And if we start to realize that they are building up, I can suggest that to you. But I want to send a reminder as well that please send me the agenda items. I haven't been getting all the agenda items, and I got one 30 minutes before this meeting, which obviously can't be added. So just make sure that you get sent to me, because I think I missed a few that have not been sent to me as well.
Yeah, Sean, can you make sure, I know Hassan's on here, but make sure to CC Justin. I know he's emailing me some of these agenda items. Maybe you can just add Justin on that, because I know I made a mistake of just asking the clerk because I didn't realize that Justin was the right person to go to. Okay. Yeah, no, thanks for bringing that up, Justin. That's a really good point. And I know like there was one item I thought was going to be on this meeting, but it's not. We'll get that sorted out. Are you guys okay with if we start getting too many agenda items to call a special meeting, see how that process works out? Mr. Droz, go ahead.
Yeah, I think Henry was ahead of me, but you want to go, Henry?
Go ahead. I can't see. Go ahead, Henry.
Yeah, I was just going to suggest that's part of the chair's responsibility is to manage the agenda. So with you talking to Sean and talking to the clerk, I have no problem if you call a special meeting because you're the one. So if anyone wants to put anything on the agenda, it should always go to our chair at minimum so that he's aware. So Michael, you can deal with that and know if we're going to have too many items, and then just work with the clerk to call the special meeting. I have no issue with that. That's why you get paid the big bucks, and I think that's why the information should go to you. So I'm good with that.
Okay, Mr. Droz, you had a comment?
Yeah, I was just going to say I think it all also relates and relies on staff's availability, because staff is bogged down with multitude of work. So, I think we have to get input. If you're going to call a special meeting, get input from Sean and Justin just to make sure that they're available and it's not going to interfere with other important stuff they're doing. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I didn't want to just say, let's do, every 2 months because everyone got a lot of things to do these days. So that's totally understandable. Okay, let's give it a shot. I'll try to be more proactive and working with Justin to see what's on the agenda ahead of time. And then if we get to a point, we'll send out an email asking if is everyone okay with it? We'll try to find a proper date time, and then we'll proceed that way. Okay. Committees, that's that. So yeah, Justin, I think we're okay for that, right? Meetings look fine.
We just need a motion and a seconder
Okay.
for this, please.
Can we get a mover and a seconder for the 2024 meet? Okay, there we go. Councilors are right on board. All those in favor? Okay, good to go. Any roundtable discussion? I know it's been a bit long one, but does anyone have any concerning items they'd like to talk about? Mr. D'Angelo, go ahead.
Thanks. Through you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted a bit of an update. How are we doing with the speed signs? We have portable signs that were ordered, and have they been implemented, or are they going to be shortly? If you could have maybe Mr. Dunsmore just update us a little bit on that, because I know that's a critical education piece that we want to get out there as soon as possible.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, they are in. We're waiting for just a bit of a hardware issue on a couple of them, but we're ready to implement. If there's some locations that you want, we're planning on implementing them on River Road down in Port Robinson East as part of that traffic calming. But if there's any other locations that we're going to have 3 sets by the time we're done, and we can start installing them at any time you guys would like, any place you would like to.
Donna, go ahead. You had a question?
I know I've mentioned this before, but I live on Ormond Street, and I can tell you that the speeds of the cars, the 2 stop signs, have not really helped very much because it's downhill from both directions. And the cars, by the time they get here, are going very fast. Not just 1 or 2, it happens all the time. Somebody mentioned that the traffic should be less here on our Ormond Street now than it has been before the traffic calming steps were taken with the stop signs. It has not really diminished very much. That intersection, I'm telling you, it's a bomb waiting to go off. There was another accident there on Thanksgiving weekend. And there's nothing to record the close calls that we see all the time. We can see that intersection from our kitchen window, and the kids crossing to get to the bus from the high school. There's seniors that cross there. It's difficult to get across, not to mention at break time, lunchtime, and that all the high school students just stream across that road. Like there's no crosswalk or in the middle of the road. They just go. They don't care. They just go. They're teenagers. So there are several issues on this road, and maybe just pointing out how fast those cars are going might be a very good first step. I'd like to see maybe those signs could be deployed on Ormond Street here.
Okay, thanks, Donna. Question, Mr. Dunsmore. So we have the speed sign. Is it going to be on both sides of the road if we implement it? Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
And you're looking for suggestions of where might be most effective. Okay.
I will tell you, Donna, that the operations manager was in my office today, and he said exactly the same thing. It's got to go on Ormond Street. So excellent.
I'm glad to hear it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm okay with putting on Ormond Street as well. That makes sense. I mean, I have the early bird up there. There's always been a problem. It seems hopefully getting a bit better. But if you see people speed them when they're coming down the hill, they're obviously going to make some kind of adjustment to not go as fast because they probably don't even realize it. Do we need to do some kind of vote, or is this something we can just do informally here? Vote request. Mr. D'Angelo, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you have 3, you have 3 sets, Mr. Dunsmore.
That's right.
Okay, so we could do 3 streets. And I know the idea was to place them there for an extended period of time, then move them on to other streets. So I know you've picked River Road, Ormond Street. I know you brought up earlier that Richmond Street's having some issues with the stop signs there. I don't know if that's an ideal one to help situate and bring awareness. That's up to you. I know, and then I know it's is it Henderson by the Allenberg Bridge? Or is it Center Street? I know they've also asked for some signage there. So those are a couple other ones that maybe you could look at. I'll leave it up to you, but if we have like even a list of the streets and then as we rotate them around, they get moved around, like every 6 months. So maybe if you can give us a bit of a report back of this possible streets looking internally from your department, and then how long you anticipate having them there and moving them around. So that way, eventually we should get them all over the city so that it educates everyone everywhere. But you're right, to focus on some of the high needs right now. So I'm good with that, but maybe internally come up with a bit of a list for us. But no problem. Just getting them out is what I want to see. So worry about where they go to the extent we can do that a little later.
Yep. Okay, we can do that. What we'll do is we'll put together a list of the streets we plan on doing it on, and then we'll put some sort of estimate on how long we're going to leave them there, and we'll just rotate them through that list.
Okay, yeah, that would work. Yeah, it's definitely Ormond Street. And if you guys have any suggestions, you have Sean's email, you can send in the suggestion. Same if you talking with people, just find out, and then we'll add it to Sean, and then maybe on the next meeting we can take a look at the list and say, okay, how is this going to work? When's it going in? How long it's going to stay there, etc.
Yep. Okay,
great. Any other roundtable comments? I know Vikram, you had your hand up, right? Go for it.
Through you, Mr. Chair, this is for Sean. Sean, since the Niagara region is progressing now, and a lot of traffic comes through the Skyway, the Niagara Skyway, I've seen a lot of traffic now coming through St. Catharines towards Niagara Falls. So we are talking about Thorolstone Road being one of the main roads that sees a lot of traffic these days, and the intersection between this Thorolstone Road and Thorold Timeline Road does not have a left turn signal if you're coming from the Niagara side, and a couple of mishaps have recently happened there. A lot of people have been asking why there are no left turn signs, especially because a lot of population now stays in South Thorold, and turning right across the tunnel and then at the Townland Road is becoming pretty dangerous. So any thoughts about that? Does it come under our purview, or how does it work?
It's not under our jurisdiction.
Mm-hmm.
The traffic signals themselves are owned by the ministry. And I just want to be very clear. Are we talking about Thorold Townline Road or Davis Road?
So it's both.
Okay.
It's Townline, it's the Tim Hortons at Townline and Thorolstone Road, that crossing. So if you come from the Niagara side, there's no left signal. But if you're coming towards Niagara, there is a left signal. And if you're going from the Niagara Falls towards Davis Road, again, there's no left turn. So those are pretty tight spots, increasing traffic, speeding traffic coming up the slope from the tunnel. It's kind of, especially during the winters or foggy weather, it's kind of pretty scary these days, because I used to travel that road pretty often to drop my daughter to school. And yeah, I do see that road getting blocked up because of some kind of mishap at those 2 points.
Okay, what I can do is I can reach out to the region. They operate those lights for the ministry. I can reach out to them and ask them what the thinking is, and if they've done a traffic study lately. They do it on a regular basis at those intersections to tell you how it's performing. Right. At all signalized intersections. So I can certainly do that and pull that information and see if they have any thoughts about making those left-hand turns. I really do believe that at Davis Road coming out of the tunnel, so going towards Niagara Falls, the left-hand turn isn't very heavily used. That would be why that doesn't happen. There is one coming from Niagara Falls going on to Davis Road, so going south. There is a left turn there, yeah. And there is an advanced for that. And then when you get over to Thorold Town Line Road, certainly there's an advanced left-hand turn going north up
Niagara
towards,
Falls.
yeah, towards Mountain Road.
Yeah.
But there wouldn't be one coming the other way again because of the volume of traffic. There's not enough left turners, if you will, to warrant it. That would be my thinking on it. But I'll see what I can get from the region, and because they do study these things on a regular basis.
Because South Thorold is booming with house construction now, and a lot of population is shifting down there. So,
Yep.
yeah, that's the concern.
Yeah, and it may have changed since the last time they did it. So yeah, I'll request it and I'll get that information to you as quickly as I can.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Sean. Any other open items? Oh, go ahead, Sean.
I got two, and I don't want to say items exactly, more warnings. There's two construction projects that are going on in the city right now that are going to cause some traffic problems. One is at the corner of Tupper and Richmond. Tupper will be closed between Cartier and Richmond Street for a few days while they fix a manhole in the middle of the street. That intersection will be closed, which may cause some grief in terms of traffic, specifically coming out of Confederation North, specifically my house, because that's the way I go to work. So I just want to make everybody aware that that's coming. If you are subscribed to our website, like we've talked before, those notices have already started to trickle out about that. And the other one is going to be at DeQ Road between Richmond and Merrittville Highway. We plan on closing that whole stretch of road, again, to install some underground servicing in there. Some of you guys may remember the frog pond and putting that crossing for the frogs. That's part of it. That will be happening, as I understand it, late in November. And it's going to be closed for about a week. So that's going to cause some definitely consternation for everybody, including the transit system. Just wanted to let you know.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that thing in action when it gets built. Thanks, John. Anyone else have any roundtable items they'd like to discuss? Going once, going twice, sold. Okay. So thanks for hanging in there, guys. Really appreciate it. The next meeting will be held on February 7th, 2024. Make sure you give Sean your roads to possibly have the speed limit signs on there if you guys can. And yeah, that's it. So if no further business, the meeting is adjourned at 5:35. Thanks so much for the time, guys. Really appreciate it. You'll have a good one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good evening.
Bye.